All right, welcome to the Legendary Upside YouTube channel. My name is Pat Crane. You can follow my content at legendaryupside.com. With me today, Sackreligious. We are going to be talking through the LegUp Sidekick for playoff best ball, drafting some teams, talking through these playoff best ball tournaments. We've got playoff best ball tournaments live on Underdog and DraftKings. Sidekick supports both. And we're going to be talking through the strategy because it's a little different on both sites with some different positional requirements, different number of rounds, and all sorts of that kind of slight adjustments. But at a high level, Sack, kind of give us the idea of playoff best ball and why these games are so fun to play.
Yeah, so if you're new to playoff best ball or you're just kind of shaking off the rust and you're trying to get back into it, the big picture is it all culminates in the Super Bowl where you need to be able to field a starting lineup. On Underdog, it's 5 players, 2 wide receiver, 1 running back, and a flex and a quarterback. On DraftKings, it's 6 players and you have a tight end slot additionally, which adds a whole additional wrinkle. It makes it a lot more challenging, especially in certain Super Bowl matchups where some teams just don't really have very viable tight ends. But really, the big part that I think the Sims helped illuminate for us is that getting there is the main battle in playoff best ball. Like, sure, having that Super Bowl roster that can field, all the starting positions that you need, that's important. But the how do you get there part is definitely something that's a little tricky. And I think in the past, we were more prone to drafting
Let's
teams that
let's
were.
sorry, let me just jump in and just do a little bit of high level stuff. So these are rosters, and Underdog's a little simpler, where you need to fill for these rosters a quarterback, 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers / tight ends, and a flex spot. So that's
Underdog does
not
not have a tight end requirement. It's just wide receiver tight end.
that's what I mean. It's a wide receiver tight end position. So tight ends get lumped in with the wide receiver. So you got to fill 1 quarterback, 2 receivers, one running back, 1 quarterback, 2 receivers, and a flex. So that's 5 roster spots. And you're filling them with players that are on different NFL teams, and it's round by round. So you get to the Super Bowl, and you have to have, in order to win the tournament, because like in regular best ball, the final round is where all the money is. You have to have a lineup that's live with enough players to actually score enough points to finish first in the tournament, which means you have teams that are in the Super Bowl. Now, in the past, what we've tended to suggest is like, hey, you must have a full lineup, and kind of what we would call maybe shitters of, like, hey, draft a backup tight end on one of these Super Bowl teams because they'll score a touchdown, hopefully in the Super Bowl, and that'll set you apart. We have Sims this year helping us with the sidekick, thanks to Shady Advice, and the Sims are a little bit less into those types of plays. They're more into like helping you get to the Super Bowl in the first place. Now, those types of plays can be helpful. Juwan Jennings was kind of the nuts in the Super Bowl when it was the Chiefs and the 49ers. And so it's not like those types of plays are necessarily bad, but if you're kind of like checking a box, like, yup, I got a fifth guy for the Super Bowl, but the opportunity cost of that is a guy who might help you get to the Super Bowl in the first place. What the Sims are kind of pointing to is getting there is important. Maybe not just by like taking some random guy who's going to get eliminated in round 1 or a team that might not even make the playoffs, but especially if a guy can score points in multiple rounds and help get you to the Super Bowl in the first place. That's also valuable.
Yeah, and to kind of build on that, it's not that not all shitters are created equal. It really depends on the Super Bowl matchups that you're building and how all of the players that would be playing in that game project relative to the low projected players. So, for example, if you have a Bills Super Bowl and you don't have Josh Allen or James Cook, don't really bother trying to build out like, oh, it's okay. Tyrell Shavers and Dawson Knox are going to fill my starting lineup and it's going to be fine. It's like, no, it's really not, because the difference in projection from Josh Allen and James Cook down to those other guys that you're going to have in that Super Bowl is just going to be such a massive disadvantage that even the times when you do manage to, weather the storm and actually get to the Super Bowl with that valid starting lineup, you're just so dead to actually take first place that can it happen? Yeah, sure. Anything can happen, once, but it's just so unlikely that you're not going to win money over the long run there. But there
There's
are certain,
probably other options, is what I think. Having done some of these drafts, you're like, this can work, but it's not necessarily the only thing that can work, and you might actually have a better chance of getting to the Super Bowl, like playing for a less likely Super Bowl, but you have the nuts instead of creating another Super Bowl by adding Tyrell Shavers
yeah,
um, when you don't have Josh Allen or James Cook, and so you're actually really hoping the Bills don't make the Super Bowl.
yeah. And I think that is something that we might see the dynamic on change as we get uh, a more determined playoff bracket. Where right now it's just so fluid. There are lots of teams that are still live to make the playoffs, and I feel like this is one of the least settled, postseasons that
It has
we
to be,
have
right?
had for a long
Yeah.
time. And so because of that, I think the Sims are leaning into that uncertainty. And oftentimes I'll find myself where, like just today, I had a team where I got all of the Eagles. I got literally the 5 best projected Eagles players. Saquon, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. Got all 5 of those through my first 5 picks. And then the Sims tacked on basically 4 different one-offs from the AFC, where it was like, you know what? This would be a really cool team if you end up with the Broncos in the Super Bowl. Here's Cortland Sutton. Oh, you know what else would be a really cool Super Bowl with this one off? Why don't we throw Rashee Rice in there? Because he could still kind of make it. And if the Chiefs do make the Super Bowl with the Eagles, man, you're really happy to have Rashee Rice with the 5 best projected Eagles. And so it just kind of goes down that path that way where it's, hey, these aren't all going to be super likely things to happen on their own, but you have this really strong core that you can kind of iterate around, and you insulate yourself from some of the variance there, where right now there's just so many different
Yeah.
outcomes with reasonably high probability of happening. Like even a 10% outcome happens a good amount of the time, where you do, it can be worth it to just throw one of those Super Bowl outcomes in as just a random one-off. I would expect that behavior from the Sims to change though as we get more certainty in the
Well,
Super Bowl.
prices will change too, right? So like right now you can build teams, and this is a part of the fun of doing it early, is like you can build teams where you get the core of one team. And I have teams like this with different teams. I mean, you could do it with the Packers, and you get like, or the Ravens potentially. You get like the whole team, and then you just start being like, give me the running backs on the other side. Like you could do it with the AFC, and you get Walker, and you get Barkley, and you get Jacobs, and it's just like one of these NFC teams makes the Super Bowl, and I've got the whole side from the AFC. Obviously, getting it with the Eagles is really fun, and then you just throw AFC. But that's not a way that we were really building so much last year, and maybe it's because of the pool to an extent. But also, I think you are creating dead roster spots when you do that. Like you are going to lose some of those running backs, and that's an issue. But if you're getting high scoring players, and you're also sort of creating outs for yourself in terms of Super Bowl matchups where you don't have the lineup is not just a pure bet on 4 different teams that can all play each other in the conference championship and you have everyone covered, which has kind of always been the dream. The way we've talked about this is like draft 4 teams, correctly pick the conference championship game, or both on both sides, and then you have great Super Bowl matchups regardless of what happens. That is a viable build for sure, but there's some other interesting builds that are also viable.
Yeah, lots of the rules of thumb that we used to go by, it's not that they're all invalidated. It's just that the Sims are a better tool for giving us a look at other teams that we probably wouldn't have considered before, just because it's harder to get there without a tool that gives you the ability to evaluate it on a more granular level like the Sims do. So it's been really fun to draft with them and kind of, I feel like I'm relearning playoff basketball, and it is one of my favorite formats. So it's been pretty fun. I just finished maxing the Underdog way too early tournament today, so
Oh,
got
damn.
150 there under my belt, and then I've
Nice.
got around 40 total DraftKings drafts in so far, and then God knows how many hundred simulated drafts I've done in all of our testing and development of the Sidekick. So I've been eating, sleeping, and breathing playoff basketball for the better part of the last couple months, Pat.
No, I know, and I love it. Let's answer some questions, and then I'm gonna jump us in a draft. So, starting with Artillery Frost. So the goal is to draft the team that is the most likely to be the highest scoring lineup in the Super Bowl, and you can do that by drafting high projections, drafting unique pieces, and advancing uniques. Yes. The thing that I think's interesting about playoff basketball is like you're drafting for specific outcomes, right? You're drafting for like this bracket is going to be, exactly how the playoff bracket plays out. I'm drafting for that. If that doesn't happen, this team is dead. But we're drafting a bunch of these teams. I mean, the way too early contest is 150 max. It's $5. This is a good tournament, I would say, to figure out like how much you want to risk in playoff basketball, and then get a lot of bullets in, because to draft it well, you are betting on specific outcomes within the playoff bracket. And then even when you're correct about those outcomes, you have to have a high enough scoring along the way to be alive for that bracket to play out and your team still be alive. And that can be pretty volatile, right? Like Ladd McConkey last year was a huge advance rate piece that we weren't really even considering as like a massive advance rate piece. It wasn't one of the most obvious advance rate pieces on the board. He's a good pick, but he becomes the nuts. And it's like, well, I hope you had him paired with the correct Super Bowls, right? So I would definitely say it's kind of a volume type of game that way. All right, how important is it to account for seeding outcomes? Pretty important, because this number one seed will have a bye. So you need to make sure, if you do have a team that has the bye and you've got 5 players on that team, or 5 players from the 2-1 seeds, that's half your lineup on Underdog. And maybe you've got the Super Bowl covered, but you don't have any points in round 1. You need to score enough points to beat the other 5 teams you're drafting against. So that's massive. You need to go find advance rate pieces to get through. And I would say the Sims are a little bit more lenient on sort of those types of builds, right? Like getting those types of 1 seed builds through. It's like, let's a little bit more by any means necessary.
Yeah. They'll where we had talked about this in the past, where it's like, hey, a lot of these rules of thumb, like you can start throwing them out a little more when you're doing 1 seed stuff. The Sims definitely confirm that, where if you do, it's kind of fun because you can see a switch sort of flip in what the Sims are thinking with how the recommendations come off, where if you happen to get a combination of players where it's like, if this does make the Super Bowl, like you can literally walk away. You don't have to watch the game. You just know that you've already won all the money. You got all the highest projected players and you managed to sneak those through. The Sims will then immediately change into, we are advancing this team no matter what. Like, give me the high advance rate pieces. One thing that's really cool that I noticed them doing a lot, which at first I thought, gosh, is this right? And then we kind of peeled back some of the layers to look at the individual, components that make up the expected value of a team in the Sims to see where these recommendations are coming from. And we noticed that the Sims like stuff around bye teams or 1 seed teams that's anti-correlated. So for example, if you end up building a Patriots team with the Rams, where it's like, okay, you're pretty likely, both of these are like the 2 most likely teams to get the bye right now. Neither of them are over 50% to have the bye, but they're pretty darn close. So you could technically play it as, well, what if they both don't get the bye? And then I've got this awesome team. No one is really building, with greater than 5 players. The way the Sims like to play it, while there's this much uncertainty around it, is what if I just get Bo Nix and Drake May, because only one of those guys can have the bye. And now I've got quarterbacks sorted out and I'm capturing a huge percentage of the outcomes for the AFC Super Bowl, right? It's like, hey, I've got the quarterback in the AFC Super Bowl almost the majority of the time, not quite, because those teams don't make up 50%.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not quite. This year's tough because the 1 seed contenders, I think everyone would agree, are weaker than usual. So it's like, yeah, you can bet on the 1 seeds and you take on the bye risk in the AFC. We're not even, I mean, one of those teams probably will have the bye. So it's like You get zeros, and then what do you get for those zeros? Do you even get that good of odds for the Super Bowl, which makes it a little bit tricky to build with the Patriots right now. I would say specifically because I think the Patriots probably do get the bye. Personally, I have no biases there, but someone asked about the Broncos. I'm going to try to find Broncos are a strong dark horse Super Bowl candidate. We do like the Broncos right now in the sidekick. The Broncos, I think, give you a little bit of that, because someone asked as well, are there any targets you feel great for advance rate with Super Bowl equity? Now, price adjusted, right? You go into these are drafts, so everyone's opinion, of what these teams are going to do gets factored in to the ADPs. People aren't that psyched about the Broncos, and I understand why, but they have an elite defense. They're going to be playing at home in round one. They might have the 1 seed, which would make them less of an advance rate piece, but let's say they're playing at home round one as the 2 seed. I think they're kind of an advance rate Super Bowl team that way. I would also throw out the Seahawks as potential advance rate Super Bowl team. And I think the Packers and the Eagles are both teams that I believe in as teams that could get to the Super Bowl for sure, and also have some advance rate type of pieces on them too. So those would probably be the number ones for me. I mean, the AFC is a little harder to say because it's so wide open. Like, I guess you could say Josh Allen is a good advance rate Super Bowl piece.
Yeah, we really do not like the Josh Allen price right now. Going in the early first round is, I think, just pretty bad, because there are like 3 or 4 quarterbacks with higher Super Bowl probability than him that you can get in like
the
but
it's Allen.
Round.
It's Allen, dude, and it's like you get the team. Although, do you get the team?
Because you don't get the team because James Cook goes, and so then you're sitting there with Josh Allen. It's like, congratulations on Josh Allen and 13 routes per game, Khalil Shakir, dude, very cool. Like, it feels pretty bad to me to take Josh Allen early. I really like Josh Allen when he falls, because if you get him in the back half of the room, you can kind of force or more like have a much better chance of getting Cook back.
Yeah,
because
Cook.
you pigeonhole. Like, if you're in the 5 and you get Josh Allen in the 5, a lot of the times you'll have Barkley and Hurts still there, or Kyron and Adams still there. And so you can kind of steer the 6 hole into what you want them to do. And then you get Cook back around.
Yeah.
And so Allen in the 4 seed is good. Allen in the 4 hole is good. Allen in the 5 hole is great. You're not really going to get him in the 6. He doesn't really fall there much that I've seen. I did have a room where there were no quarterbacks drafted for the first 2 rounds. It was like everyone was playing quarterback chicken, and that was kind of fun. Cool. A guy, I mean, one of the fun ones as far as advance rate pieces and that has pretty good Super Bowl equity. If you start Josh Jacobs, ain't nobody want to contest you on Packers, man. Like, you can just take Josh Jacobs and then have all the Packers. That's pretty good as far as like, let me get Josh Jacobs plus the 4 best pieces on some other team in my first 5 picks. And then my last 5 picks are just Packers. I'm just going to take Jordan Love and all the Packers receivers.
I was on streaming with Davis, and a commenter was like, Pat, you're not high enough on the Packers. You're taking too many Eagles, not enough Packers. And I think he was right. The Packers are actually really fun. And the Packers, when you think about the Packers, to me, they're a little bit like the NFC version of the Bills, where they have this offense that's kind of a sleeping giant, where like if Jordan Love gets pushed, he's awesome. Like, he's awesome. Jordan Love is great. I think he's really good. And I think he's being limited by an overly conservative offense. But in the playoffs, maybe that changes. Maybe they have to lean on him a little bit more. Maybe they don't plan to, but they get pushed into the type of script where they have to, and he just goes nuts. So I think the Packers could be one of those teams that scores a lot of points. Even though they have a good defense, they could still score a lot of points. And, Love is reasonably priced. Jacobs is reasonably priced. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs are all reasonably priced. So we kind of know where the targets are going to go. With Kraft out, they don't have a tight end, so things are a little bit more condensed. So yeah, man, I'm definitely a little bit more bullish on the Packers as kind of that advance rate plus Super Bowl equity piece than I was a few days ago before someone made a good YouTube comment.
I've just noticed the Sims have started pulling up Josh Jacobs to the 1-2 turn. His ADP was around 14. I mean, earlier in the week it was like 18, and before that it was like 22 or something. He's been
So
steadily
that's like
climbing.
mid fourth, 22.
22 is or like the 4 or 5 turn.
Okay.
But it's been climbing, and the ADPs in playoff best ball are basically like the fakest ADP you've ever seen. No one really adheres.
Well, you shouldn't
to them.
respect the ADP.
Right.
You shouldn't, because
Right.
you're building teams that are specific to your team. That's because we'll jump in here soon, and you guys will see. But
Yeah,
very different.
To go back though, you were mentioning some of your favorite teams, and someone said something about the Broncos. My most drafted team by a decent margin is the Broncos. My highest exposure player is Troy Franklin at 38.7%. So I do have a gang of Broncos. It's Broncos, Seahawks, Eagles are all pretty high up there for me. And then I do have a lot of Travion Henderson. One thing that was frustrating to me is the Sims don't really like New England as much, probably because of what you were saying about, hey man, they're kind of expensive, and like, what are you even getting? You get a bye team, so you don't get points in the first round. It's like, how much of an advantage are you even getting here? Because they're not as strong
Super
as
Bowl odds.
the one seeds in the past. And so sometimes I just let my inner Slappy get the better of me. And Travion Henderson is like the third recommended guy on the sidekick. I'm like, Patriots are going all the way. I don't know a damn thing. And I'll just click him. And so that's how I ended up with almost 23% Travion Henderson. But that is one of my favorite parts about drafting with the Sims for playoff best ball is if you have a take, like who is someone in the chat had a good scroll up to copy paste Lade's comment here. Is there any merit to fading Broncos? Okay. So my favorite thing about playoff best ball and using the Sims is if you have a take like this, it is totally up to you if you want to lean into this, because all you have to do is kind of plant the seed in the Sims head. All you got to do is just start it. You just kick it off. And then the Sims are like, fade the Broncos? Hell yeah, brother. What are we drafting? And so you could be the guy who's like, yeah, Josh Allen is a great pick in the first round. These guys don't know what they're talking about. I'm just going to take Josh Allen every time he's here in the first round. And then the Sims are on board with it. They're like, yeah, let's ride, buddy. Here's how we get the best Josh Allen team. So it's a really
it's that kind of tournament. Like you have to build on what you made. Like the draft, like you're right, is not. It's like never more true than in playoff best ball, because like if you're not right, your players are literally not playing. So like you have to be right,
And if you've used sim products for other like fantasy stuff, if you've used Sims and DFS, you kind of know that they'll funnel you to like, hey, this is the best projected player. Like this is what the best thing is on this slate. And the same thing is true here, except there's so many different paths that you can go on.
You're playing different slates almost. Yeah.
Yeah. That by, you just kind of setting the ship in motion and then following that path, you really can put your own spin on it and not get funneled into what everyone else is doing. So it does make for a very fun drafting experience. At least in my opinion.
I agree. How much do the Sims like taking 2 quarterback when neither has a bye? More than we did.
Oh, yeah.
And Davis was taking a victory lap on this one, because that was kind of one of his intuitions. It's that it's better than we were thinking. And Sims agree. It was better than we were thinking. In part because like sometimes quarterbacks don't score that many points, but you get through. Like it's honestly like the Sims like 3 quarterbacks for traditional best ball more than we thought they would. So quarterback is maybe something they just score more points than we want to think sometimes, or maybe it's that the guys we think are going to score our points score less points.
They can fail sometimes. One of the cool spots that like helped illuminate the merits of a second quarterback or even a third quarterback in certain situations was I'm drafting a team and I have a 5-player onslaught from, I think it was, I want to say the Seahawks, or maybe it was the Colts. Anyway, I'm at the end of the draft and it wants me to tack on a second naked quarterback. It had to be the Colts. I have the 5 Colts, all the best pieces, and it wants me to take Brock Purdy with my last pick. I have no 49ers. And I realized it's not just an advance rate thing. It is when you show up in 49ers Super Bowls against the Colts, this lineup could be optimal with Brock Purdy outscoring Daniel Jones. You could have all the Colts, and then Brock Purdy is the guy that you need, in the quarterback position. And so that was really cool to me.
Dude, I just had that actually. I had one that was a bunch of Broncos, and it wanted Purdy. But I think Purdy was. I was reading it as like Purdy's going to outscore Knicks every time they're both live.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, let's get you to the rounds where having Bo Nix is enough, but you're probably not. That's probably 2 rounds in.
Yeah, I notice it too when you have very strong skill position players. Like, for example, if you started something like Jonathan Taylor and CMC or something, it's like I'm set at running back. I'm never having anyone else hit my flex position if those 2 guys are alive, right? And then you get good depth at the wide receiver, tight end position. Then that extra quarterback actually really makes a much bigger difference on your team. Where if you end up thin at a position, or like you're drafting players that are low projected just because you're playing a Bills Super Bowl, and it's like, all right, I got a bunch of Bills on my team. These guys are going to score 5 points for the first 3 weeks. I hope I make it. Then the Sims are going to be less excited about getting a second quarterback. Like,
Right.
God, you just need like Nico Collins to make the playoffs here, man, to score you some points in round one.
So a couple questions. Why does the Sidekick recommend Franklin over Sutton? And you'll see some of this stuff. Like we have Watson ahead of Dobbs generally, but Dobbs will flip him sometimes. Franklin will flip Sutton. Those guys we have fairly close to one another. And we're adjusting this as we go, but the recommendations won't always be the same. So you're going to be sometimes seeing players that are simming better, especially as you get further down, where you have a run of the Sims that are like hotter Franklin, and so Franklin can flip a Sutton, and it's like you don't want to always be taking guys in the exact same order, especially as you get down. And we are talking about Bills. Like if you're just jamming Keon Coleman every single time and never taking a Gabe Davis or whatever, like you probably do want to, or a Dalton Kincaid or versus a Shakir, like Coleman might be too far down, but depending on, you get a couple extra rounds on DraftKings or whatever. But anyway, you don't want to always be breaking those ties in the same way. So that's one of the features of it. The other thing I would say is like if you're very confident in something like a Sutton over a Franklin, you can be confident that like the game tree elements there aren't. It's a receiver on the same team, so I think that's a spot where you can IKB it. Especially if you're building like a Broncos onslaught, Sutton has the higher ADP. So I literally actually just did that before we got on. I took Sutton because I was like, I'm going to also take Franklin. And I took Pat Bryant. Like it was like a full blown Broncos onslaught type of team. And you're more likely to get Franklin if you take Sutton first. But if you're only taking one, sometimes you want to mix it up.
Yeah, it's just the simple answer is because sometimes Troy Franklin scores more points than Courtland Sutton, because really we're looking at a very small number of games. And so, you can just go back and look at game logs to help illustrate it. It's like, oh yeah, Troy Franklin does score more points than Courtland Sutton in some of these. And there are going to be some playoff runs where Courtland Sutton just totally duds out for the first week and then the Broncos are eliminated. But you still got what you needed from the other Broncos pieces on your team to help you advance. You really don't want all of a certain branch of the game tree to ride on one player where it's like, oh, I always took these guys by ADP. So all of my Broncos teams rely on Courtland Sutton being good, or all my Broncos teams rely on RJ Harvey being good. It's like, actually, maybe you'd prefer to have the NFC running backs. Maybe you want Ken Walker and, Christian McCaffrey, but yeah, it's important to not just like very, systematically be like, I'm clicking the guys in the order of the ADP that they go because I want to make sure I get all of them. It is good to mix it up. And sometimes you'll get them both, and that's great. And sometimes you miss out on one. And it feels
I think about it too. Like, am I
trying
trying to get both? Do I want both? Because I think if you want both, taking them in the order of ADP makes more sense. But if you're like, I'm going to take a Bronco, and then this isn't a Broncos team. I don't have Bo Nix. I'm not trying to go Broncos to the Super Bowl here. I'm trying to be like, Broncos will help me out a little bit. In that case, you like, yeah, I think you want to mix it up a little bit more than just take them always in order ADP.
Yeah, the way I see it is, do I need both? Not like do I want, but like, can this team work if I don't get both Sutton and Franklin? And if it can't, then yeah, I'm just going to take Sutton first because it's more likely that I'll get them both. But if it's something where it's like I could have 3 Broncos pieces here to be the other side of my Rams, I only ended up with say Stafford and Puka, and I need 3 Broncos. It's like, I don't care if I get Evan Ingram and Pat Bryant on this team. Like, those are guys I want to be drafting some of, you know. I want to draft a lot more Pat Bryant than Evan Ingram, but
Yeah, I think they're both fun.
yeah. But that's my own bias on it, right? And so that's something where you can put your own spin on it, but I do think it's important to, at the very least, let the Sims try and help you there, where you're not going to end up with like, hey, all the Cortland Sutton.
Sometimes I'll be like, no, but I'm remembering that next time maybe I'll take.
Yeah.
All right. People want to know if you're drafting any Cowboys with 10% implied odds. This is not the type of game where I think you want to bink a team to make the playoffs. You want to bink a team to make a run in the playoffs, right? So starting with a team that will make the playoffs for sure is helpful. So that's why we talked about like the Packers and the Eagles, the Bills, like these teams where you're like they're not long shots to make the play. They're maybe not like total 100% locks, but they're probably, they're 90% plus. And then from there, you're like, and they go to the Super Bowl, right? You're already making a pretty thin bet that like the Bills make the Super Bowl. The odds of that aren't particularly high, but it's nice to start with 90% plus odds that they make the playoffs in the first place.
To kind of help calibrate like how thin I'm willing to get on like this team, like I could stack a bunch of it because they could go to the Super Bowl. I think Bucks are pretty fun there, where it's like you could see the Bucks like getting healthy and getting hot at the right time. It's like, man, I could have Bucky Irving and all the receivers and Baker Mayfield with my last 5 picks, and like that could work. But the Bucks are like 90% to make the playoffs,
Yeah.
Or like the Texans, where it's like, man, the Texans are a good one. The Texans feel really yucky, don't have hardly any players I want to draft, but their defense is so good. And sometimes that can just be enough in the playoffs where it gives teams enough trouble where they just knock people off. And we have seen this Texans team do that before.
Dude, Texans defense, like, you want to talk about how the Patriots get the bye and then lose in round 1 and all your Patriots stuff is dead?
That's to the Texans.
Texans, man. Like Will Campbell, like limping around off his high ankle sprain first game back. Drake May is just constantly under pressure. Texans could easily upset the Patriots. Like the Texans have such a good defense, they could upset pretty much any of these. I mean, they could make Bo Nix. Bo Nix got awesome protection. They could make his life hell. So yeah, Texans are a good one. They're not like the most fun team to draft the players on, but I think they're very live to make a run. And they're not a lock to make the playoffs, but they're much better chance than someone like the Cowboys, someone like the Panthers. Someone asked, don't draft the Panthers. I would not draft the Panthers. Yeah. And then the other thing is that if you're not the one doing this, you can take advantage of it. Someone's drafting Bijan or Chase or the Cowboys. Like this is one of the times to draft these. This is why drafting early can be so fun, because like you do have to beat these other teams to make it through round 1. You have to beat the teams you drafted against. So if someone's in there just like Cowboys and Bengals, baby, then like you might be drafting against 4 other teams for your round 1 advancement. Should we jump into draft?
Let's do it.
All right, let me get this set up. So yeah. All right, we're out of the 4 hole. We are the 4 hole. I'm going to make this a little bigger. All right. That's probably big enough. That's probably big enough. Okay. Get the sidekick here. All right, I'm going to put the sidekick in the middle.
We could get Josh Allen.
I know, that's what you're talking about. Now, the 4, can we get Cook on the way back, or is that unlikely?
Yeah, no, you can definitely get him here. What you're rooting for is you're wanting it to go Puka JSN like JT or something, or Puka JSN CMC, because you really want Barkley, Hurts, and Adams Kyron to be available for the 5-hole and the 6-hole. So they've got like very clear double taps. It's been getting harder with the ADPs are changing up. Yeah, I do. This is absolutely my game.
You like literally like Zach lives for this.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah, copy paste says it seems like a huge edge to draft players on good teams because the team actually has to advance. Bucks feel as bad. I would agree with you. Bucks and I guess Texans would be kind of the worst I'd go. You could talk me into Jaguars.
Yeah, Jags are like the yucky one that I sometimes click.
Yeah. So, all right.
Sometimes the Sims take a little bit to load here.
So Adams is coming up as the top one. You good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with Adams. I think the way that I kind of treat the Sims in the first round is I'm pretty happy. I've done so many drafts with them now that I'm like, yeah, just steer me wherever we're gonna go, and we'll take it from there. If you're someone who's got strong stands, or like you really want to adhere to ADP so you don't get underweight any of the guys in the first round, totally fine to do that. And then, like I said, the Sims will put you on whatever path you're setting them on. For me, I'm for the most part just happy to take the top guy and then kind of take it from there. And then if I'm doing any IKB stuff, it's more around like reading the room or trying to push guys, things like that.
Also, sometimes if you're on the turn, kind of creating those combos, you can, it's like, as we talked about, we know that once you have a player on your team, it kind of changes things. So scoping out those starts that are fun, like out of the 5-hole or the 6-hole, like I'm going to go ahead and take the 2 Eagles or the 2 Rams, because as soon as I take one Ram, the other Ram will become better. So that can be something to think about.
Well, this is fun. We get Kyron back. It's getting more and more rare these days. It's getting a lot harder to get Adams plus Kyron. So I'm very happy to get that combo.
Nice. All right. Some questions. Houston has been my target out of the 3 bubble AFC teams out of the Chiefs, Texans. Chargers, Chargers I'm kind of not that into, to be honest.
Yeah, I get less Chargers now than we did a little while ago with the Sims.
Yeah.
What do you think about opening the draft board and putting the sidekick on the side of the draft board, just because it's a little easier to kind of read the room here?
There you go.
So this guy who did the Hurts AJ Brown thing at the turn, I've seen a bunch of different variations of the like double tapping Eagles. The one that I actually feel like has the best, you end up with the best teams doing it this way, is you go Barkley Brown and you pass Hurts and you try to get Hurts to come all the way back to you. It definitely doesn't happen all the time, but you have other pretty good outs where if Hurts goes, you have very clear direction where it's like, all right, I need Drake May now or Bo Nix. And that's kind of the 2 ways that I'll play it if I don't get Hurts back. And then I'm just playing, I've got the best Eagles skill position players with one of the strongest AFC teams as far as Super Bowl odds. And there's lots of other players there that are available. And I've filled 2 of my skill positions already. So it's not as challenging to get a full roster of good players.
And what quarterback are you tending to build around then? Assuming you don't get Hurts?
Preferably May. And then if not May, then I'll go Nix. Beautiful,
get May,
beautiful to get Stafford back here. This is one where I think some people would get greedy and be like, ooh, I could like sneak RJ Harvey in here. Maybe don't. I personally would not get greedy here. I'm just going to take Matthew Stafford because this 3-player combo is pretty hard to get right now.
This is a sweet. I mean, now we're thinking, Rams have high 1 seed odds, so there's a little bit of an advance rate thing happening. But Super Bowl wise, we are golden. And who knows? Maybe they don't get the bye.
I do think that this is likely to be one of the kinds of drafts just where I see what the room is doing and how they'll be likely to build. We're probably going to end up with some of those yucky AFC teams to try and help us advance at the end. One thing the Sims will do is lean into that anti-correlation like I talked about. So I think if we don't get any Colts, we might be likely to see the teams that benefit the most from when the Colts miss the playoffs as far as their probability of making the playoffs. I've noticed that a lot when I'm in these situations. So you'll get more Texans, Jags, etc.
Well, we're getting Stephon Diggs, so we are in the situation where we might have a lot of buys to cover.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Betting on the Patriots, though.
Yeah, if you get this, like if this makes it to the Super Bowl and it is Patriots Rams, you're probably set. And the nice thing is your fifth piece here doesn't really matter because all of these remaining, number one, there's no real remaining Rams piece you're super excited about. You could get Corum, but Corum's not, he probably projects for worse than Booty or, Hunter Henry or Ramondre Stevenson. And so you have all of these very viable fifth options there, and so you can kind of push it and kick the can down the road on those because you're not going to be likely to want a sixth potential buy player. So that is a good spot to be in here where you have enough firepower already for the Super Bowl and you can just check that last box. Where if you found yourself in a spot where pretend we didn't get Kyron and we missed out on Travion too, now we're like in a little bit of a thinner spot if it is Rams Patriots Super Bowl, where it's like, all right, we really need to get Ramondre because I don't want to show up to that Super Bowl with just Blake Corum as my only running back. That feels like a bad time.
Right. We're already we're having a great time if this team advances to the Super Bowl. That's not the priority. The priority is probably to help us get through. So we have a couple options. We could go with a Troy Franklin, to try to build out a team that can advance a couple rounds. We can bet on the Chiefs to make this to make the playoffs. They're obviously not guaranteed to do that, but if they do, Rashee Rice is a smash. Tyler Warren, get that Colt stuff rolling. George Kittle is another kind of advance rate piece, but they can also make a run, at least a multi-round run. I
love Franklin here for basically locking us into, hey, between Diggs and Franklin, one of these receivers is active in the first round, and there's chances for us to bank both of them being active, but the most
I forgot about the anti-correlation thing you mentioned, but that's a great point. One of these teams will be live round one for sure. Okay, I like that. There we go.
We are gonna piss off Chris 100 next to us here, who was probably counting on Franklin to make it back to him. But
yeah, sorry, buddy.
Now this is a spot that I think is a really helpful illustration for people who are using the Sidekick for the first time. What the Sims are going to tell you is this is the player that's the most valuable for you, for your team, as far as expected value. And it really wants Blake Corum. Part of the reason for that is that the Sims do not just want to play for Patriots Rams, because the Sims would love to play for Rams plus anybody. And so getting this fourth Ram now makes Denver Rams live, and then we'll probably throw on a bunch more AFC pieces, and then we basically get Rams Super Bowl. We are very happy. So that's why it likes Blake Corum so much. This is a spot where I'm happy to push it, though, and say, whatever, I'll get Blake Corum or Hunter Henry later. I really just want one of those guys. Maybe I'll get two, but Bucky is an awesome pick here.
Yeah, Bucky's a really nice pick. Hunter Henry obviously fills out another Super Bowl. And then Blake Corum is, as you're saying, probably the most valuable guy for the team, but we don't need to take him right this second. So you like Bucky over Hunter Henry?
Yep, and I'm happy to push the Patriots because it's like Hunter Henry or Booty or Ramondre.
Yeah,
all guys that I'm happy with. I don't see the Sims get to Pop Douglas very much or Mac Hollins very much. I've seen it occasionally, but it's one of those things where, like a commenter mentioned, like, why do I see Franklin over Sutton? It's like you'll get it occasionally, but the frequency with which you're going to get players like Mac Hollins or Pop Douglas, like these really punty players, is just going to be a lot lower right now. I do think we probably see that frequency increase the further we get into playoff basketball season, the more
right
these probabilities.
Well, we're taking more teams, right? Like, not all of the teams drafted in this will make the playoffs, and before the season, or before the playoffs kick off, every team that's being drafted will be in the playoffs because we'll know all the teams that are in the playoffs. Maybe there's like one game to decide, a play-in game basically in week 18 or whatever. But for the most part, we know everybody who's in. So yeah, it just makes those like really thin guys less valuable because you do have the chance to like, hey, I get 2 rounds out of Bucky on a team where I don't have a running back that doesn't have a bye yet, probably, which is pretty cool.
And the Sims are doing the thing that I have seen them do a bunch of times here, and they're like, "Hey, you didn't take any of the strong Colts pieces, so the Colts don't make the playoffs here, bud. Go ahead and take Travis Etienne." And I'd continue to push Blake Corum here because
Corum has a higher ADP than Etienne. I'll just point that out.
You just don't have very much competition for Corum. Like no one is really. The only person who would want it is Puka, and he's on the other side of us. And so I think you're pretty safe to go ahead and take ETN here. I just want to secure a strong projected running back that's left, and then we can get Corum on the way back.
One thing I'll note is that in previous years we talked about 4 running back not being so great, but the Sims don't seem to really mind 4 running back. Can you talk about that part of it at all?
Yeah, it has to do with how strong the players at the positions project. So, for example, our running back position is pretty weak, or was pretty weak for round 1 because we very likely had a bye, and then we only had Bucky, and now we've got ETN, but it's like ETN doesn't even make the playoffs some percentage of the time, right? And so here we've got of Bucky and ETN by round 2. We probably can expect to only have one of those guys left. And then Corum is much more of a, hey, this is a warm body to fill our flex spot in the Super Bowl for the Rams so we can have all these different Rams combinations. And so Corum is just really a running back in name only. He's more like Super Bowl warm body is the way I would look at him.
Super Bowl warm body, yeah. No, I feel you because it doesn't really matter. He's just filling that flex, yeah.
Our wide receiver position, right here we've got decent projection there, but I would expect that after we go ahead and get Corum here, it's a bummer that Igbuka goes because I was going to say after we get Corum, I'd expect to see Igbuka shoot up. But I think we still got a couple fun options here that could pop up between Pat Bryant and Brian Thomas. And I do think that we'll like Baker Mayfield as well. And there he goes up to the top.
Yeah. No, Baker I was tempted by, but Corum wouldn't have come back probably because the Ram stuff's on the other side now. All right, let's see. Is it bad to go 2 quarterback? We talked about this for a little while. It's not. We have some more in-depth thoughts. If you want to rewind the stream a little bit, or just circle back and check it out. But we did talk about that. Let's see. Do the Sims ever treat this spot where you get a variation of one of them that does miss the bye and you get like 7 or 8 pieces? So I think it's like, hey, do the Sims ever just be like, hey, neither the Patriots or the Rams get the bye. Let's just jam them.
So it's possible because the way that the Sims are working is we're sampling a subset of Sims to give you your rankings. We're evaluating all the different outcomes of thousands of simulations and then saying, hey, here's this slice of them. And we're going to tell you what makes you the most money out of all of these aggregated, right? And so it just depends on the slice that you get. And the higher the bye probability for the 2 teams, the less likely it is that they're going to treat it like, hey, one of these doesn't get the bye. I have had teams where I end up with 6 total players between Rams and Patriots. And those also happen when I have like some pretty bona fide stud projected players. Like I got Jonathan Taylor or I got CMC, and it's like, maybe I just advance anyway. if the bad thing happens, maybe I just advance anyway.
Yeah, and I think there is sort of a diminishing returns element because like you are going to be going against like not that many teams if it's Rams Patriots because people aren't jamming Rams Patriots together on the same team. So like you can add that extra player, but it's not necessarily going to like help you. Like it might be better to spend that currency on getting to the Super Bowl in the first place as opposed to like having a Austin Hooper or a Colby Parkinson or Kyle Williams that like theoretically could help you in the Super Bowl, but probably won't even. and you could have maybe gotten through round 2 or round 3 by drafting a different team.
Yeah, and this spot is basically exactly what I'd expect from The Sims, where it's like, all right, you need wide receiver firepower to help you get out of the early rounds here. And so any of these guys that kind of correlate with picks you've already made, where we've got ETN, so we see the Jags wide receivers popping up. We've got Bucky and Baker, so we see Evans popping up. This is a spot where if you've got a strong lean one way or another, totally fine to IKB to your preference. Or if you're just gonna, you're gonna be doing so many playoff basketball drafts anyway, and you just want to make sure that you're not just slamming the same guy over and over when you run into this situation where it's like, oh no, I drafted Brian Thomas as my advance rate wide receiver on all my teams, and he didn't do anything. I guess none of my teams are advancing that needed that. Then you can just, hey, trust that the Sims are going to give you these guys in a diversified manner where you can just click the top guy and you'll get different ones. In this same,
I think all of these guys are good picks here, like for the team that we built.
I do too. I'm totally fine if you have a preference that you want to do, or I would just take top guy if it was myself, because I'm going to do so many. Just want to.
I'm going to take Mike Evans here because
he's fun.
We've got Baker, we've got Bucky, so like the run that we get from the Buccaneers going far is fun. Now we don't have enough. We don't have enough to fill out a Super Bowl, but we're close. So Buccaneers Super Bowl, maybe we make some money as long as it's Patriots Broncos. But more likely we have this team making a run for a couple rounds, and then the Rams take over. Do you need me to click it? Okay. All right, let's jump in one more of these, and we'll go over to DraftKings after that.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I really liked that.
That was
team.
A fun one.
I think I can't remember the last time I got that Rams combo of those big three.
So this question I didn't quite understand. Open to interpretation, I guess. Aliens invade, death beams pointed at Earth. What's the Super Bowl matchup, and who's winning for the fate of humanity? So why do the aliens, do they need to, like one team will win. So are we playing the aliens? A little bit confused, but what's the matchup and who's winning the Super Bowl? And there's some heavy consequences if you're wrong, clearly.
Gosh, I mean, if we're playing the aliens, I think that changes my answer. Then
yeah, let's do it both
interest.
ways. So let's say the aliens are like, you have to correctly predict who's going to win. You Sack.
Ooh, shit.
Have to do like the whole humanity's on the line. You've got to get this right. Who makes it and who wins, and then we'll talk about who can beat aliens after that.
Okay, who makes it is the most frustrating possibility in the NFC, and it's the Eagles. They do literally the exact same thing we've seen them do, where they get it all together in time. And all their fans are mad. Everyone's mad the whole way, even up until the Super Bowl. AJ Brown's pouting in the conference championship game because he didn't get enough targets. But the Eagles make it, and then, God, I don't want to sound like the slappy that I am, but it's the Patriots. Listen. The Patriots are the most complete team, and they have the best quarterback, and the best quarterback matters, man. The best quarterback in these big games really matters. And so it's Patriots, Eagles, and I do think that the Patriots do it to them.
Oh, man. All right. This has never felt more like the Rams year to me. I mean, the Rams just like Stafford is like 8th in EPA per game, and like he's going to win MVP, and everyone's fine with it. Like no one's mad. I'm not even mad. I want Drake May to win, but I don't. It's going to be Stafford, and I'm fine. There's just something about the Rams this year. They've got the defense. They got the quarterback. They got Devontae Adams scoring touchdowns nonstop. They got 2 running backs who can punch it in at the goal line. They got Puka. I think even like losing to the Panthers is probably good ultimately. Like that's going to be fine. And I'll say that they're even going to win the Super Bowl. And who makes it on the AFC side? I think the Bills just get run on too much. Someone's gonna put it on the Bills in a really unexpected way. I'll say, you know what? I'll say the Texans. The defense wins championships. Corollary. It won't win championships though because the Rams are going to beat them. But it's a wide open AFC, and they probably have the best unit in the AFC. Right, the single best unit. Texans defense. So I'll say Rams beat the Texans. Hopefully that satisfies the aliens. Now, the aliens want to play us. Who are we nominating to play?
I need the team with the most, the players that are the most alien on them, the guys that are just like the superhuman freaks of nature, and they've been, I think the Monstars have stolen their talent as of late, but
Oops.
there's a chance they could get it back here.
Are you with AJ Brown here?
Yeah, I'm good with AJ Brown. Josh Jacobs is also fun, but
let's do Josh Jacobs. Let's
we were just talking him up.
We're talking Packers. Let's do Packers.
Yeah. I think it's the Ravens. It's the Ravens. They get right. For the fate of humanity, Lamar gets it together and looks like the alien that he is. And then Derrick Henry, one last ride. I just need Derrick Henry stiff arming a little gray man into the abyss. So I
like this take. I do have some bad news about humanity, though. Lamar's not healthy, and we just got absolutely fried. I honestly think I'd take the Eagles. To your point, like the Eagles have all the right guys to beat aliens, and you know what? Jalen Hurts is a gamer, man. It's a game. What's a bigger game than playing the aliens for the fate of humanity? So that if anything can bring that team back together, it's the fate of humanity against aliens. RJ Harvey popping here, Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I love RJ Harvey here.
All right, let's do it.
Because you end up, so you're really, really open now. No one can, so you take RJ Harvey, what can hurt you? What can even happen between this pick and your next one? You're like, oh no, I can't draft a good team. So pretend someone takes both Sutton and Franklin. Like, okay, I guess I'm just going Packers or Seahawks. Pretend someone takes Kenneth Walker here, okay, that's fine. I'm just going Packers or I'm going Broncos. Like, you just have the three like kind of pivotal pieces on their teams with all the guys left to go. Like, no other player from this team's been drafted yet. The quarterbacks aren't really particularly in demand without these players that we have. So this is just a really cozy start. The AJ Brown one, I do like that as well with JSN, because you can end up with this same spot where you're just, hey, I'm going to RJ Harvey or Travion Henderson. Now Henderson goes right after our pick, so it kind of closes that off. And then Derrick Henry is like your break glass in case of emergency there, where it's like, all right, I'll just play Ravens against either the Seahawks or the Eagles, and that's still pretty fun because you can get all the Ravens and throw in some of the other good guys. But the thing that's pretty nice about starting JSN in the first round is Kenneth Walker is not very contested. And on DraftKings, the phenomenon is like even more severe, where Ken Walker has an ADP in the 40s. Wow. And he feels like he never, if I want to push Ken Walker, I could push him for days on DraftKings. Like, no one ever contests him. So I really, really like.
What do you think about going Henry here?
You can go Henry. I think it just keeps opening stuff up for you where it's like, yeah, why not? Like, I could end up with Ravens if I want to.
Let's do it. I want to see how it looks.
Yeah, I think what'll end up happening is the Sims in this spot are like, how far could we push Ken Walker then? Oh no, okay, he pops up. I've had some where I get in this spot where I get like three running backs just like this. Oh, okay. And then Ken Walker just like is consistently second or third in the sim rankings for like 2 rounds. And I just like keep pushing Ken Walker, and you can get him really late. So it is kind of a fun way. We're early now. We're basically relying on JSN is always filling a wide receiver spot for us, and so we only need one other receiver spot getting filled. And so now we're getting to put these monster running back projections into our flex. So it's like I get Josh Jacobs or RJ Harvey or Derrick Henry in my flex. I do.
What do you think about going Walker here? I don't want to commit to.
You don't want to commit to Broncos?
I don't want to commit to Bo Nix, man. I'm just not ready to.
That's fine, because we have so many other quarterback outs. If we didn't have as many other quarterback outs, I've been scarred trying to push Nix before, where I'm like, no one's going to take Bo Nix from me. And then they do. I'm like, oh, shit, I just kill a team. So because you could
we have so many quarterback outs.
Yeah, you could go into Lamar. You could go into Sam Darnold. You could go into Jordan Love. I think it's fine to push Bo Nix here.
Yeah. And then if we get Nix coming back, fine with Lamar. Okay, so Lamar, Darnold. Yeah, these are the outs. And Love is still available too.
So what the Sims are
Obviously, the
likely
Seahawks, we
gonna
have 2 now, so Darnold's better than Love there.
yeah, what I think they'll likely want to do is end up with like some Packers wide receivers at the end, and then AFC quarterbacks. So like that's why Lamar popped up, because then you could end up playing Packers or Seahawks with the AFC quarterbacks. But now that Lamar goes, I think you can kind of like it's there's so much stuff going on in the Sims that it's hard to replicate everything that's going on in your head, but you can kind of flow chart it where it's like, okay, they care about having all the good pieces in the Super Bowl, but they also want the really high odd Super Bowls that are going to happen here. So like that's why Bo Nix is popping up, because of all those guys. He's the one of these quarterbacks with the highest odds to make the Super Bowl. And so yeah, here I think we're going to start to get funneled back into Nix. And this is that Franklin over Sutton situation where I don't mind either, because we don't need all the Broncos here, right? Because we're so
Let's take
deep.
Darnold. I don't. I'm trying to avoid Nick. I don't want Nick's on this team.
I refuse.
Let's take Darnold. I see what the Sims are doing. They're pushing me back to the Broncos, but I mean here they all are, so I do get it.
Yeah, and so now it's like, oh, okay, you wanted Seahawks. Let's make sure that Seahawks are going to be live in a bunch of these different spots, and so we can play Seahawks Ravens, we can play Seahawks Broncos, but it's going to be less reliant on Broncos now by getting you into Shaheed, because you do really need receivers, and your other receiver outs were Packers receivers, and so by not getting Lamar or Bo Nix, you kind of closed off that branch where it was like, it's actually all going to be okay because I can click a bunch of Packers receivers and make up for it by volume. And now it's like, the Packers receivers just aren't quite as cool. So
yeah. I think we want to. So we're at 39, 46, 51. So if we were to take, who's got Knicks? Does anyone have Knicks? Knicks is
no
still
one has
available.
Knicks. Yep.
Who's got Broncos? I guess we do.
No one has Broncos.
So we could take. This might be a spot to take Sutton.
I think you take Sutton here, yeah, just to dissuade anyone from taking Knicks, because I think your ideal is that you end up with both Knicks and Darnold, because
that might be your ideal. Avoid Knicks this whole time.
You also could do Love if you get enough. If you get enough Broncos receiver here to like give you, or like you leave space. If you take Shaheed, you could also then pivot into Love, because you've got the Seahawks that are going to cover the Seahawks side, and you just need like one-offs to get there. And then you'd have room to get Love and a Packers receiver. Yeah.
By the way, Brad says he's rooting for the aliens if it's the Eagles.
That's why it felt like I had to pick the Eagles, because it's like, I don't want this. Nobody really wants this. Like, I don't even think the Eagles want it. The Eagles want to lose so they can all blame each other. Like Nick Sirianni wants to lose so he can blame AJ Brown, and AJ Brown wants to lose so he can blame Jalen Hurts, and
Yeah. Are you worried about Daniel Jones's leg? We are, to a degree. It's certainly.
We are reflecting it in the Sims.
No, I'm distracted by it. You could pivot into Love. Me sending a Tinder message. Yeah, we have some uncertainty about whether he's like playing. Right, he's not a lock to be healthy. He's got a fracture in his leg. And we have, there's obviously it hurt their playoff odds, I think, market wise and otherwise. So, what are your thoughts here?
I think Shaheed is pretty important for us. Unless you really like, this would be a spot where if you want to IKB and say, hey, I don't think there's a big difference between Shaheed and Cooper Kupp, you could do that.
I do not think that. What would my IKB be? Love?
Yeah, you would go into Love then.
Let's pivot into Love, baby.
And so the one problem is the guy on the outside of us just took Christian Watson, so you got to take a Packers receiver next, because you probably are going to prefer to get 2 Packers receivers now to finish this thing out, as opposed to Shaheed. But Shaheed's a very viable alternative to 2 Packers receivers.
All right, I like the first draft we took basically top guy, and now we're all over the place. But I do. The nice thing about these is if you IKB, everything gets back on track to what you've taken, right? So it's not like you have there's no residual, right? It's all for this team that you now have. What's the best pick going forward?
Yep.
Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs. Do you have a preference?
I like Reed. He was going undrafted too to start the contest, so that is part of it in The Sims, where
That
the
helps.
Sims
Yeah.
are aware that there's less Jaden Reed teams that you'd be competing against. So that is nice. If you make it to the Super Bowl and there's a lot of Dobbs and not a lot of Reed, that's kind of cool. And then yeah, the Sims did do what I thought they would do, where they're like, okay, yeah, we're doing the Packers thing now. We want 2 Packers receivers to close this sucker out. Then
Yeah. And in a way, I think that might have been a reason to take Dobbs, because you're more likely to get Reed back, but it probably doesn't matter. You'll probably get both anyway.
Yeah. You do have a Super Bowl filled out with Packers. You've got Broncos Packers right now, so it's not you're not into the world or anything. But what
And we have Broncos Seahawks too, right? Or do we not? No, we don't.
No, I don't believe you do. You have
One,
2.
two.
Oh no, you do. You have Broncos Seahawks
Yeah.
already. Yep. I forgot that we got Walker. Man.
Yeah, we got Broncos Seahawks with pretty good pieces. Harvey and Sutton,
with very good pieces.
JSN, a Walker. And you know what? If the Broncos don't make it, we're okay.
Yeah.
That's the spot I want to be in if I'm betting on the Broncos.
So this is a 4 running back spot, and the way that the Sims kind of got there is because they're like, well, you basically are drafting a 9-man roster where you only need 1 wide receiver because you have JSN. So it's
Right.
like you have different roster construction requirements than the rest of the people playing the tournament, because this one spot's accounted for. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and if JSN has a down game, Darnold and Walker aren't playing anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't matter. That outcome is accounted for by your other teams. All right. Since people are aggressively drafting potentially dead teams, mainly as advanced rate pieces like the Lions, is now the time to load up on potential number 1 seeds, because there will be so many dead round 1 teams.
I think it's a read your room kind of thing. Like there are rooms that you'll get into on DraftKings where you're like, these 2 teams in my room won't score more than 30 points in the first round.
Which tournament do we want to do over here?
I do the $20. Do the big one,
Okay.
flagshipper. Dude, $1 million to first playoff best ball. This is, if anyone from Underdog with any sway, Hope, Numi, Brett, if any of you guys who put the contest in the lobbies are out here, take notes. $1 million to first playoff best ball. You're getting outdone if you don't do that. I mean, just nut up, like DraftKings did it.
Nut up.
Just saying. You don't want to be the people who are out here with the little rinky dink, like 100K to first, 200K to first playoff best ball tournament.
It sounded so friendly for a second.
It is friendly. It's just, hey, I want to see them do well. I don't want you to be the guys who are like, oh yeah, the big playoff best ball tournaments over here on DraftKings, and then we got Underdog. If you want to
generally, if you're selecting words, rinky dink and nut up aren't in the friendly bucket. That's
but they know my heart is the thing.
Right, the occasion. Right, the occasion is
there you go. Corey in the house. I'm taking notes.
Yes.
I'll adapt my vernacular next time. But no, I do think they could fill $1 million to first.
I think so too, man. I think so too.
Just be the change you want to see in the world.
There you go.
There you go. Let's make playoff best ball as big as it possibly can be, because it truly is one of the best game formats out there, man.
Love it.
Okay, before we get into DraftKings, I feel like I need to mentally prepare you. How many have you done?
None.
On DraftKings?
None.
Okay.
I haven't done any. I've done some on Underdog. I haven't done any.
I gotta prepare you then. Oh man, you have the 1 hole too. So there's, you can get some really cool Patriots stuff going from the 1 hole. I gotta tell you, Hunter Henry is not wherever you think Hunter Henry goes, whatever his ADP says, even if you're like, yeah, he'll probably go like a whole round early, wherever you think he goes, it's earlier. Because
really?
It's not even just Hunter Henry, it's more just like the vibe in general on DK. And it's not even tight ends. It's like, if there's a linchpin piece that you need to make this team work, someone finds a way to ruin it. And so just know that on DraftKings and know that sometimes it's really not worth pushing it, because I would say that if you find yourself in a spot where it's like, I could have the nutted team or I could have like the second or third nuts, I'm okay
second or
playing.
third nuts.
I'm okay playing for the second or third nuts because it's just harder to get.
It's like a unique. Like you either have the nuts or you don't. Can you have the second or third?
Yeah,
nut?
yeah. Like so the nut flush is like the ace high flush, right? And then the second nuts would be like the king high flush.
Second nuts.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Okay, all right. I don't know. I don't really play poker. I just haven't heard it. By the way, as we're speaking about language, big missed opportunity to tell Underdog to sack up.
Yeah. I'll be better next time, guys. And Underdog, you know it's just love. I just want to spark that friendly competition between you and DraftKings.
Extremely common poker term. Okay, all right. You know what? Second nuts hadn't made its way into the TFS world, so I just hadn't heard. Second nuts is funny.
Could you imagine if we got 2 million to first playoff best ball tournaments this year? I will take no Christmas gifts if you get me 2 million to first playoff best ball tournaments.
All right. Well, I guess who's that on? Your family? Your family's the only one who would have that choice.
Yeah, family. You don't have to get me anything if we get 2 million to first playoff best ball tournament.
Okay. Do you want to do Puka here?
Yeah. I'm very into Puka. Weird stuff can happen on DraftKings. So basically, Shady had a really good point. We were talking, off stream about taking certain picks and like giving yourself the ability to get lucky. Where, if you don't ever take Puka at the 101, you've now denied yourself basically all the opportunity to get Puka Devontae Kyron. Right? You're not really pretend you're like, I'm only going to take Puka at the 102 or the 103 because then it's easier to get one of those second Rams pieces back, right? DraftKings is weird enough that there is someone out there that's going to get Puka Devontae Kyron. Okay. And if you aren't taking Puka at the 101, you basically are now precluding yourself from ever getting that. And that combo is so good. Like I'm with you that I do think that the Rams are a very strong bet to make the Super Bowl in the NFC. And could you imagine if you show up with Puka Devontae Kyron in a Rams Super Bowl? Like, isn't it just over? So I want to give myself the ability to get that lucky. So I'm basically taking Puka anytime that I can take him because I really want to have that opportunity. And if it never works, it never works. But at least I got those shots on goal.
And you get Puka, who's a great pick.
Yeah,
so it's hardly like
my consolation prize is I got the best projected wide receiver whenever he's playing.
Yeah, on the team that I think probably most confident will make the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Open the draft board here so we can see what craziness is going on. That's okay. It's pretty nice on DK. It's easy to have the sidekick parked over on the side here. So we get the Stafford Adams double tap at the turn. That's okay. There's a decent chance that we can sneak Kyron here, though, which Puka Kyron is pretty good. And then, my goodness, if you get Jonathan Taylor as well, that would be quite the fun advance rate piece. Or if you want to play Colts Super Bowl.
Gibbs just went. Gibbs is so fun that I don't even begrudge anyone for taking him. And I kind of think the Lions make the playoffs, but a little risky. Risky. So we're going to get Kyron here, it looks like. Go.
And then now the path, I would click Kyron soon, or well, I guess it doesn't matter because we'll have the same 30 seconds, but we're going to have a decision after Kyron. The Sims will tell us what to do, but it is a spot where you could totally take May, but the Sims don't like it as much. Jacobs is one that often pops up as like, hey, there's going to be lots of Packers later and it'll advance. And then we're going to play you through Ravens. We're going to play you through Broncos. So I'm good with Jacobs, but this is a spot where if you wanted the Patriots homer, you can just take Drake May.
You take Drake May here? Okay.
He is not coming back.
Let's take Drake May.
This is if you want to get real slappy with it. Here's the hard part. Go to the draft board because I need to map this out for you. because I described the Hunter Henry phenomenon, and it's because I've had this exact situation happen.
Listen, I think everyone, let me just say, the Sidekick's available at legendaryupside.com/sidekick. Highly recommend it as a draft tool. Nothing beats having Sack map it out though. We gotta get this is, I will say, having you let me see that draft board so I can map this out. I've never felt more comfortable drafting.
And to be fair to the Sidekick, I have taken this. I've gotten this spot, this Puka Kyron, where I'm really happy about it, and I've done the Josh Jacobs where it's like that's my advance rate thing, and it's my backdoor break glass in case this Rams thing just doesn't pan out. I don't get the good AFC teams to pair with it. I can go into a full Packers stack and be good. And so here we're starting to get in trouble, right? We see double tap Broncos go. We see double tap Patriots go. It's starting to get dire. So you have two options, Pat. You can bail out here, or you can steer into the skid. And on Underdog, steering into the skid oftentimes doesn't work because people take all the good projection players. Like they kind of understand people that'll be alive for a long time and score points. But on DraftKings, you can sometimes get these late players. And so I would do Josh Jacobs here because what the fuck is he doing here? And then after Josh Jacobs, if you want any hope of a Patriots-Rams Super Bowl, it's got to be Hunter Henry.
Okay. All right. You asked if I wanted to get slappy, and I did. So let's do Hunter Henry.
Yeah. Now, this is a weird room because oftentimes guys like Goddard and Kittle can be gone by now. And so Hunter Henry would be your top guy in a lot of these spots. The Kittle and Goddard are both like, dude, these tight ends are probably going to be the highest projecting ones in round one. And so we need to advance. Also, DraftKings is 1 of 6 advanced, by the way. So there are lots of times where, like what I'm telling the Sidekick, hey, I'm forcing this Patriots Rams thing. The Sidekick's like, you'll never advance. You'll never advance. And it's probably right. But I also know how this is what I know. I know that CeeDee Lamb can go in the 5th round on DraftKings. And so there are times where you just have to be a knower.
I have to get a clip of that. I might need Zach to make a clip of that. Holy shit. This is what I know.
But like, so DraftKings is like a hands at 10 and 2 at all times kind of thing, where you could have top guide Sidekick all the way through, and it's going to build you a team where you maybe, if you get a Rams Super Bowl, you're probably better than min cashing because you got a Puka Kyron, and it's probably really hard to get a full roster even at all for a Rams if they get the bye on DraftKings specifically. But I'm trying to shoot the moon sometimes on DraftKings, and so if we get George Kittle here,
dude, I've been the whole time you've been talking about this. I was like, is George Kittle coming back? Holy fuck.
So here's the scary part, Pat. If you get George Kittle, we need. Wow. Okay.
I saw the blue and I thought it was over.
Oh God. There's so look how many good picks there are. It's George Kittle, Emeka Ibuka, Kenneth Walker, all of our you'll never advance. Sidekick didn't know that the room was gonna give us all these crazy picks back. So you take George Kittle here. I think it's really gonna it honestly might want a quarterback here even, but it's because it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't know.
It's like get through. Yeah,
it doesn't know that the room is crazy. So yeah. Ken Walker is good, but here's the scary part. You need 2 of Booty, Ramondre, and like a Mac Hollins or a random shit.
Let's do Walker.
I would do Walker here. And yeah, then we basically we have to double tap Patriots on our next time.
No problem.
We're locked in. Oh, this is
someone who drafted about 25% of Jalen Polk. So I've got no problem taking any Patriots you want.
George Pickens, let's go. This is a don't drop the baby. Pat, I'm going to tell you the saddest story that you've ever heard. I had basically a very similar version to this where I don't think I had exactly Jacobs Kittle, but I think I had Walker and some other crazy good advance. I think I might have had Walker Henry. I had crazy good advance rate stuff with this Puka, Kyron, Drake May start. I think I ended up with Diggs back as well. So I'm locked in. I'm trying to not drop the baby. I get a phone call and it's like the 10-11 turn. And I click my top guy, I think it was Travis Etienne, to help get me an advance rate piece through. I queue him up and then I'm on the phone and I forget that I have the second pick on the turn, Pat, and I timed out and auto drafted Jamar Chase. And so I have this beautiful team that is ruined with Jamar Chase 0% to make the playoffs. I mean, it's technically not zero; it's like 0.007 or something. But
All right, so we're double tapping Patriots, right?
yeah, you gotta.
Booty.
Yep, it's just Booty Ramondre. Well, do Booty, and let's see what the Sims say after that. I'm pretty sure it's still gonna be like, but dude, a quarterback, you need it. And I'm just saying, like, these guys, one of them's gonna be there. Yeah, look,
Oh, I actually love Ramondre a lot more.
Yeah. And the Sims
we'll
are
just
in my head.
cool. We need one of these quarterbacks, not two.
Yep.
The Sims really are in your head. It's wild. Dude, that story's so funny because there couldn't be like a more quintessential player for it to upset you correctly. but like it's friggin' Jamar Chase. Like that's such a sick player to be like, no.
Okay, we've
know that I don't.
We've kind of dude. The people in that room were blackout drunk. That was like I was doing that draft late at night. I had just finished so after, just so you guys get a little peek behind the scenes for what goes on at legendaryupside.com. We've got to rerun the Sims every time that we get new results from a game, right? I've got to say, hey, the Cowboys lost, the Lions won, get all of that, baked into the Sims. So I'm running the Sims. Every time I do that, I fire up a test draft or two afterward. Just make sure, we've got sanity checks and everything built into the whole process where we're sending everything, but I want to know, I want to get in there, make sure everything looks good, it feels right. And so I do a couple. It's a little treat for Seth. I want to be the first one to draft with the new Sims.
Fresh new Sims. Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. And so that was one of those late at night, the Monday night game or whatever it was had just finished, and I'm doing my little treat draft, and then I ruined it. But dude, everyone in that draft is like auto drafting or drafting crazy dumb stuff. So maybe there's a chance that my Jamar Chase is just the locker room guy there.
We got Jaden Reed popping up. We got Pearsall and Purdy. Thoughts on what we do here?
I'm good with Reed. I'm good with Pittman. I think I'd probably just take Reed here.
We have Jacobs, so I think Reed makes a lot of sense.
It gives us another Super Bowl. That's why he's up there.
And then now it's got to be Purdy. Yeah, okay. I was surprised to see Purdy not there, but we have two picks, of course. So Purdy's kind of a jam, right?
Yeah, Purdy's a jam. The other one that I'd consider, who the Sims also think is good, is Baker. I would bet that the Sims trade off back and forth between Baker and Purdy there.
We have Kittle.
Yeah. The difference is just that Baker is active in round one a little bit more. And so that can matter more than the correlation to Kittle, right? So it's just the small.
What do you mean active in? Well, if Kittle misses the playoffs, we're kind of screwed, aren't we?
No.
Oh, the bye?
Yeah, the bye. And it's not. You technically could live with Kittle missing the playoffs because there's a couple outcomes. Number one, you don't end up needing the points. You had enough points anyway from your other guys, Ken Walker, Josh Jacobs. Those guys do enough for you. The other one is the Patriots don't get the bye, and so Hunter Henry's in there.
Hunter Henry, yeah,
that happens 50% of the time. It's not a point. So anyway, but. This is a beautiful team. This fantastic job not dropping the baby. I mean, please don't auto draft Jamar Chase as the last pick.
I'm tempted.
I might have an aneurysm. That might be the undoing of me.
To put Chase, if I was Pete, I would put Chase in the queue and walk out of the room. That's what he would do. God, I'm tempted.
Oh man, this is such a good team. So I've had people in the Discord be like, God, is there even a point to drafting on DraftKings? People kill my teams all the time. It's like, yeah, they do. But when they don't, and like this one, we got there by doing all this weird IKB stuff because DraftKings is so unpredictable. The Sidekick is trying to predict like, well, this is what you could get later. And this is like what you need to do to be able to advance out of this pod. And it's just like, how could the Sidekick know that this guy is going to draft a bunch of he's going to draft Bijan Robinson and 3 quarterbacks, and CeeDee Lamb. And how could he know that Jamar Chase, George Pickens are going to go on the same team? Like the Sidekick can't predict that. And so it's something where you need to be willing sometimes to to open your third eye and see what the drafters in your room are going to do.
Yeah.
And know when you want to really steer into like, you know what, I'm shooting the moon here. And if it doesn't work, the other thing is I was kind of comfy with this if it doesn't work, because we have Jacobs and getting all the Packers stuff can save you.
Pearsall feels nice here. You know, he hasn't been doing that much recently, but as a 49er, I'm very comfortable with it. We could also add maybe Mac Hollins as another Patriot, but they get the bye.
Yeah, I think Pearsall is a pretty good pick here. I so hate Pearsall as like I just don't think he's going to do anything. I think he's a good pick. I think Dricko, my stat chasing co-host, said it best, where he compared Ricky Pearsall to his 49ers teammate DeMarcus Robinson and said he might have a career as good as DeMarcus Robinson's. But you know what? When Pearsall has gotten points, they've kind of come in bunches. When the 49ers have chosen to involve him, they've sort of made him a feature. I think that the way they want to deploy him is like they'd love him to be Brandon Ayuk, but he's just not. But sometimes it's like the game plan is so sweet for that role where it's like, you know, it'd be awesome. A bunch of splash zone targets to the guy who could do stuff after the catch. And like, it just doesn't matter that this guy's not quite as good as what we'd like. So maybe you get that in the playoffs where Pearsall is just the guy for the game plan and he's what we need.
Yeah, I think, and it's weeks away. So that's one of the things with Pearsall where we've seen him be, way less involved recently, but he was involved early on, and maybe he kind of ramps up into a bigger role before the playoffs. So as a last round pick on 49ers stuff, I think he's like, I'd rather do that than like if the Patriots didn't have the bye and I knew that, then I would rather take Mac Hollins, frankly, because like on a May team,
right?
But because I'm not sure Pearsall's that much of an advance rate piece, but it does give us. I mean, that team had Patriots 49ers Super Bowl.
Yeah, had Patriots 49ers. Yeah, Patriots Packers. Yeah, Patriots Rams.
Did we not have a run? Oh, we had Ramondre. Yeah, so we were good.
Yeah, it's a very good team.
That was a really good team.
That's one of the best DK teams I've seen, and I've gotten like 40 under the belt so far, and people have shared a few others with me. So,
hell yeah, and we streamed it.
Yeah.
So that's out there. That's what you're competing against.
It's over.
It's over. As long as we get out of round one, which we probably
as long as we make it out of round one. And, we do kind of need the Patriots to make the Super Bowl.
And the Rams. Yeah. Yeah. But if that happens, it's over.
Yeah. Oh, man. What a fun one. That was a rush.
That was great. Fascinating that like half the playoff best ball teams are still dead money after all these years. It is. I mean, guys, it's a fun tournament because people are still not playing it the way you want to make money, I would say.
Yeah, I'm a little tempted. I kind of want to just show people the dichotomy because that was such a wild IKB one where it's like, dude, Drake May was he was barely showing in the sidekick.
Yeah.
I kind of want to show people like, here's how it works when you top guy on DraftKings, where basically the way it's worked for me, oh my God, we get the one hole again. The way it's worked for me is it tries to steer me into the nuts and it's like, let's get you there, buddy. And then when it fails, it's telling me how hard we just failed at getting the nuts, where it's either there's like degrees of failure. It's like, you could still make the Super Bowl, but you're probably not taking first. So we're going to focus on min cashing the Super Bowl. Or sometimes it's like, you're never making the Super Bowl, but we probably could advance you and maybe like another round to get you a little bit of money. So we're going to optimize for the first two rounds. And so you can kind of see it like trickle down
you can see it getting sadder.
Yeah, depending on what your room does to you. So I want to like take another shot at the nuts here, but show you how the sidekick treats it.
Let's take another shot at the nuts. I'm into that.
Yeah.
We just did it once.
Well,
now, if we don't hit the nuts, maybe we'll hit the second nuts or the third nuts.
I think we do Puka again here from the one hole, and then I'm pretty tempted. DK is the one where I will IKB more, just because you just saw the dynamic that happens. It is not modelable. Okay, like we're not gonna go in here and be like, yeah, these two teams, they're just dead to advance. You're actually playing in a 1 of 4 pod, like. We're not going to put that in the Sims, guys. Like, but
there's cloud computing here.
Yeah, but Yeah, I do want to. I wonder how different this room will be. But yeah, hopefully we get one where we can just kind of top guy it and show what that looks like. Because there's some pretty good RAM stuff you can do that's very unconventional feeling. Um, one of the things that I used to really not do in playoff basketball is like I tried to avoid pieces from the same, like strong pieces from the same conference. Like if I took Puka, I'd be like, I really don't want to take JSN or CMC because like that piece can't play in the Super Bowl against him, right?
Right.
And I think that's just like being too, you're just too tunnel visioned on like this is the thing that it's like no man, like those guys can be so important to advancing you. And then when you're in the Super Bowl, if what you need to
And not
happen
just advancing. Let me just jump in because advance in playoff best ball, I think people sometimes think about it meaning like getting you out of the wild card round. But the nice thing about those super strong pieces is that they didn't just do that. They got you out of the divisional round as well. And maybe even in the conference championship round in a loss. That you get Ram stuff to the Super Bowl because JSN went bananas in the conference championship game, and you kind of had to have them to get through.
Yep, exactly. Like there are years where you're just like basically locked out if you didn't have, we saw it with players in the past where like last year's you needed Lad McConkey, right? A couple of years ago is like you needed Gabe Davis. And so there are definitely things like that that can happen where you don't want to be too rigid in these combos that you're getting. Go ahead and pull the draft board up just because that's okay. Okay, so we get so CMC's ADP is much later. It's like I want to say, or no, I'm sorry. CMC has climbed up. This is the other crazy thing on DraftKings. CMC had an ADP of like 11 for a long time. Nothing really changed, and now he like has an ADP of around 4 or 5. I want to say. And so the ADPs just they move very quickly.
DraftKings ADP moves faster, yeah.
Yeah.
At least it does regular. I would assume it does for this too.
Okay, so the Adam Stafford double tap happens again. Let's see how this one shakes out. I'm trying to see if I recognize any of these names here as people that I've drafted with. I do keep some notes on playoff basketball drafters because tendencies are important in this game.
Oh my god, I love being like 98th percentile into this and like, but like not 99th.
No, yeah, it's a sickness.
This shit's not linear, is it? It's a lot higher.
Dude, can I admit something? Is this a safe space? Can I admit something really embarrassing to you? I was dreaming about playoff best ball last night. I woke up really mad because I got sniped on someone. It was bad. It's like it was like 3 in the morning, and I woke up and my heart was like going. I was upset.
I at least had you waking up in the morning. I didn't know this was waking up in the middle of the
night. That was middle of the night, like cold sweat level bad dream. I've been doing them so much that it's like they're just going in my head, like
Zach, you're the meme of I bet he's thinking about other women. And you're like, I can't just believe I just got sniped in my mind.
Oh baby. Okay, this is a perfect top guy. Like, let's see how it nuts us up here.
Do we want to go Hurts first and see?
Take Kyron and watch what it does.
Okay.
Because it could do Hurts, but sometimes it'll flip it here. I've had it. Okay, so yeah, let's do Hurts. Hurts is an advanced rate piece.
Okay.
And then sometimes you remember last time how we got
Rice is intriguing, isn't it?
It is. You can get him back though. Okay. What I'm actually banking on is I think we could get Rashee Rice, and I think that we could get Dallas Goedert back. Because Goddard will often go before this pick, on the next turn, but we took Hurts, so I really feel like that dissuades the Goddard drafter, dissuades someone from drafting Goddard. So pull the draft board up here because we're injecting a little chaos here because the Barkley guy takes Barkley AJ Brown, and he's very mad at us right now. He's like, who is this idiot taking naked Hurts? And so Drake May was higher in our ranks this time than he was last time, as the Sims will will change. Sometimes you will get Drake May as the top guy, but it's not going to be as often as you would think it would be with a legendary upside duel.
Yeah, well, I've been writing the walkthrough this week, so we'll have a little Saturday morning meeting.
It's just the Sims are. It's that thing you're describing of like they don't view Drake May and Bo Nix all that differently. They definitely think May scores more points than Nix, and you can kind of see that behavior kind of come out where how it treats them with like an NFC opponent quarterback, like if it wants a second quarterback in the Super Bowl with them or not. It's like less inclined to do that with May, where it's like, dude, May's the one scoring all the points at the Super Bowl. You don't need the other quarterback. Or with Bo Nix, it's like, I don't know, man. The other side of this matchup looks pretty cool to have the other quarterback. But as far as getting there, the Sims are like, yeah, man, like Drake May, Bo Nix, which feels like blasphemy to us, but the math do be
because you get another round probably out of Nix.
Yeah,
is part of it. Yeah. We'll have
now here's the cool thing. We're pretty live to get.
I know. Don't even say. Okay. Don't even say. I know what we're live for.
Well, because the Josh Allen guy probably wants Kincaid here or Shakir pretty badly.
Or Hunter Henry.
And this guy really shouldn't want.
This dude should take Laporta, to be honest.
Okay, so Harvey's a little bit bad for us. He's like a little bad for us.
Okay.
Because we wanted that out, but Sutton going already made that also not as good for us. So there's a couple we got a lot of stuff live here. Well,
I mean, we have one thing really. Oh God.
Okay.
Damn it.
Here's what it's gonna want. Tyler Warren is fine because then it's like you go into Colts and Rams. We also could do the Dallas Goedert thing and then into Derrick Henry. I'm pretty sure whoever we take at tight end, it's gonna want Derrick Henry next. Because it's going to want us. We need something with these Rams. I think it's going to want Ravens. So
do you want to go Warren? Let's go Warren.
No. Okay. Yeah. Either one.
I just thought about this team getting out of round one, and Warren is just
with Warren. I don't think it's going to want Henry as much. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, Shakir.
Yeah. So now what I think it is saying is it thinks it's going to be pretty hard for us to get a really good Rams Super Bowl. So you can take Shakir, you can take Goddard. I'd also take Henry. I'd be fine with Henry.
I'm going to take Goddard.
Okay.
Because we ran out of time.
So this is a spot where, again, the Sims, this is like that. There's levels of depression that the Sims will go through, right? And so now they're like, oh no, we're never going to get a Rams Super Bowl that's good enough to take first. Oh no. And so you got to, if you want to like step out of it, Sims, the Ravens can make the Super Bowl. You take Derrick Henry there and that's how you tell them. But the Sims are like, dude, the Ravens aren't making the Super Bowl. Like, don't have that pipe dream. Let's just get you. We're going to get you better than a min cash in the Super Bowl because you got Puka Kyron. But, like, it's not going to be – we're not going for first overall anymore. That's how they're thinking about it right now is – and you can kind of tell by the way that you're getting these recommendations, right? It's players that project well at positions of need for us that could kind of pair with stuff that we have in different – variations. It's not sticking quite as hard to like this is the path.
This outcome. Yeah. Now what about playing Colts? I mean, we don't have Taylor. Yeah.
You don't have Taylor, but you can play Colts here because we have the two good Rams pieces. So you can do Colts.
And Warren on a team where you need the. So what if we tell the Sims that the Colts are making the Super Bowl?
I'm good with that. I didn't know how Colts pilled or not you were. I've been reasonably relative.
I'm not
to the
super
market.
Colts pilled, but I'd rather bet on the Colts to make the Super Bowl than try to get my money back.
Yeah, rather than I think compared to the market, I'm pretty Colts pilled. I think in general, I'm like, it's probably not going to happen. But like this, I do think that the Colts that we saw earlier in the season, I think they're still in there. And I think that with all of these teams where we've seen something from them, like it's just about stringing it together for enough games, and I think the Colts could do it. It is just scary with Daniel Jones.
But the other thing with the Colts is that like a month from now, we could have a very different opinion of the Colts. One of the opinions could be that they aren't making the playoffs. But one of the
go to the draft board really quick. I just want to see what we're looking like. So, because we can end up with.
I was going to take Pittman Jones, but.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll need to take Jones. We'll probably be uncontested. Okay. Where's the Taylor guy again? Taylor guy has Lamar. We might need to take Jones, actually. He's just doing random shit, though. So, yeah, if you are playing it that way, it's probably going to end up needing Jones. Yeah, he pops right back up. I do think you kind of want Ken Walker because we've got only Kyron Williams as a running back. But if we miss out on Jones, we're really sad.
Jones has 49 ADP, and you said Taylor guy.
He's doing weird stuff. He's got Lamar, Kincaid, Amon-Ra. He's just like drafting a smorgasbord.
I think we push Jones. I don't see how you draft that team and you like are dying to get Jones.
Daniel Jones, yeah.
He's also got Darnold.
And so look, you successfully snapped the Sims out of it. They're like, you're right. There is something to live for. I can take Daniel Jones. I can take Alec Pierce. This could work.
This could work.
But so that is, I notice this behavior way more often on DraftKings, where it can just be much more difficult to get the strong rosters and get them through because it's 1 of 6. And so it's I think it's more of a like, hey, drafter beware. You can choose to, what we're doing right now is more likely to lose our money than what the Sims are telling us. Hey, why don't, like, if your base advance rate is 1 out of 6, right? The Sims are like, what if I made your base advance rate like 1 out of 5? Wouldn't that be cool? And we're like, no, we actually would prefer 1 out of 7. And then we know that you're telling us it's going to be really hard for us to take first place in the Super Bowl without Jonathan Taylor. But we know that that's possible. And we know that that's possible. And so we're just going to force that. And then you tell us what to do when that happens. And so this happens less on Underdog because the starting roster requirements are less, rigorous. You don't need 6 players. You'll need 5. You don't need a tight end position. So it's just, I think we had talked about this internally. Like, what if we had like degrees of risk that you could tell the sidekick you were willing to accept? Like, I want to take the high risk teams. Let me slam all the double buy teams, and try that way. And I'm okay losing all my money. I just want to get a double buy team through to the Super Bowl if that's what happens, But I think the Sims do a pretty good job of like having that baked into them where they're like, we think this is more risk than you should take. But you are allowed to be a glutton for risk. So
right, just take it is sort of built in already. Just take the teams that you want to take, and then they will build around those teams.
It'll be like, all right, we're doing
this, man. There's only one way through this.
Yeah,
and it's to win it all.
It is really fun to draft that. I do feel like we need like a little bit of education where people have to like kind of understand what it's telling you when you get. If you hadn't
it's so much more complicated than for regular basketball.
Yes.
Like
if you hadn't heard us talk about this and you started seeing the recommendations you're getting in the middle of this draft, you're like, is this thing broken? What's going on? It's like, no, it's not broken. It's just sad, man.
Sad. What if we had a slappy meter?
The slappy meter would be good. But yeah, look at this, man. It actually worked out pretty beautifully. We get Dan Jones, we get Alec Pierce. So now we've got Pittman, Pierce, Warren, Daniel Jones, and our Rams, and we're back to life, baby.
Indiana Jones.
And so now, so here's the thing, though. You're fading Devontae Adams and Jonathan Taylor. Is that a thing where this could totally work? Absolutely, which is why the Sims still let us do. Like, if the Sims thought, hey, dude, no way in hell is this working, we wouldn't be getting Dan Jones or Alec Pierce recommendations.
We'd still be IKBing just
to fill
out the rest of the
class. Brock Purdy, Mike Evans, it'd just be giving you the best projected players, basically. But if it thinks there's something to what you're doing, it'll lean into it with you. But if you find yourself fighting the Sims the whole way through, chances are you might be a little too slappy.
The Goddard pick, I kind of went back. I forget what we had there, but He just doesn't do much for this team now.
It was the Hunter or Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry opened up
Derrick
the Lamar
Henry.
thing.
Oh, okay.
But
That's
look
fine.
how it played out. Does the guy still take Lamar there? Probably, because Henry was already off the board. So all it does is like give us more running back points instead of more tight end points. I don't think that's necessarily bad.
And it's a little bit of a cleaner team with Hurts Goddard.
Yep.
We don't have to worry about what the Ravens do.
Yeah, I knew if we took Warren, it'd be less inclined for Henry because it's going to be less excited about the another AFC team. It's like, all right, this is your AFC path then to make the Rams work. Or if we had taken Goddard first, then it's like, ooh, I could do Eagles or I could do Rams as my NFC, and then I'm just going to end up doing Ravens as my sole AFC. So that's kind of, once you get a bunch of reps in with the Sims, you can kind of get a sense of like, when I take this player, who's the next guy that's going to pop up, or who are the couple candidates that'll pop up? Because a lot of the spots, it's not that there's one clear answer. It's like, hey, there's a few good answers here, and the Sims will balance between those. But I think that is if you're like, I want to get the sidekick, but I also want to feel like I'm doing more than just clicking top guy. Like I want to add value, man. I want my teams to be better than the average sidekick user. The way you get better is kind of the stuff that we're doing on stream here, and then learning like it's treating it more like a poker solver, where you're like, the Sims like this. This is how it navigates these spots. So this is what it's going to steer me into. Is that a thing that's going to be a path of little resistance in this room? Like, could I just land that plane easy? Or am I, fighting a tough fight here? Like, we had a bunch of people taking Broncos. Like, if we weren't paying attention or we didn't really know what the Sims liked, and we're like, Broncos are good. We could get Evan Ingram later. Like, and then we're doing battle with all these other Broncos teams. It's like, yeah, man, you're like kind of backing yourself into a corner here.
What do you like here?
We do not have the Roma Dunze foot injury baked in yet. That just happened. Okay. I haven't run new Sims. I'm okay IK being off of that. You also know that I'm not the biggest Roma.
No, I'm good with that. What do you like?
We need running back points, so Hampton's very good.
All right.
I wonder, Monongai's there. It was probably wanting us to roam Monongai. And then, I like Reed here. Reed is good. I'm pretty Reed pilled.
We could have done Jacoby ETN as well.
Yeah.
But I don't see the point in drafting the backup running back in the playoffs for the Jags.
Someone, I was watching Neil Orfield stream, and he had Mathology on as a guest, and they were doing some drafts, and ETN got recommended as like hey, you need some running back points early, dude. And Mathology goes, yeah, I think I'd prefer Tootin. It's like, my man. Like, I am drafting a good amount of ETN for playoff best ball, but man, does my heart want Tootin to be the right answer.
Yeah. All right. Before we get out of here, because we only have one more pick left, legendaryupside.com/sidekick. You can get this. Jump in the Discord if you sign up for the sidekick, and we got support over there for anything that pops up. Discussion, talking through some of these IKB spots, some of these potential paths, Sacks in there, Shady's in there. This is always fun to talk about. And I will also, key thing to note, the Sidekick subscription for the year covers everything. So it covers playoff best ball, covers the big board and the pre-draft contest on DraftKings, covers Best Ball Mania, the flagship contest on DK, all that stuff. So if you were kind of thinking about getting the Sidekick this summer and you want to do playoff best ball, I think it makes a ton of sense to get the yearly, and then you're covered all the way up through this full calendar year until the next way too early stuff. So check it out, and hope to see you guys in the Discord. Did want to answer a question before we get out of here as well. Last year I would have forced a Colts or Eagles backup running back at the end here to give myself a full live Super Bowl roster. Do the Sims always hate that? I think with the Eagles, right, you don't have Barkley, you don't have Brown, you don't have Devontae, and you don't have Taylor. So I think in this, like, you're just so unlikely to win if it's Colts Eagles. You really need it without Taylor. I think you really, really need it to be Colts Rams. And if it's not Colts Rams, it's probably not worth playing for. Like, you stand to make a lot more money by either advancing the team to the Super Bowl with an advance rate piece or tacking on another Colts Rams piece for when you're there. Is that the way you would look at it too?
Yep. And just like kind of the little heuristic you can give yourself for that is like, what do these other, if this Super Bowl, you're like, hey, it's a, Colts Eagles Super Bowl. If that happens, what are the best projected pieces in that? And like how good are they really? Where if you're doing something where it's like if you thought RJ Harvey was just really not good, and you're like, yeah, he just hasn't been good. He's got huge negative rush yards over expected over the last couple of weeks. I think in the playoffs, he might lose more work. And you're like, there's really not a ton of RJ Harvey points that I think are going to come. That would be a spot where you could IKB and be like, because that lone running back that's really worth drafting on the Broncos isn't going to score many points. That's kind of one where I'm okay taking the backup running back or like a running back on the other side. If you're saying it's Broncos plus, let me think of one where it wouldn't be. Maybe it's Broncos Rams, and you have Puka Adams somehow.
You grab Corum.
Then you get Corum. That's a great example where it's like, your trade off is like you're
Chiefs.
only
If you were
fading,
playing Chiefs,
exactly. Yeah, you're only fading like one guy then really. But if you're having to fade like Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley and AJ, you just start, the parlay gets to be a little too long.
I think Josh Downs here makes a lot of sense.
Josh Downs is a great pick for us here.
Yeah, we are all in on the Colts Super Bowl here. So, all right, you know what? And you know what this shows us, Sack? The Sims did not finish sad. They ended up feeling good.
Yeah, we snapped them out of it.
We snapped them out of it. We got happy Sims.
Yep. Yeah, this was a fun one. I felt like this was a really good one to illustrate kind of some of the weird stuff that can happen on DK, and then how you can have some agency as a drafter where if you want to take more risk, here's how to do it. Or if you want to be like, you know what, Sims are probably pretty smart, and they are telling me like, hey, it's okay, wave the white flag on this one. We'll make you some money. We'll get a nice solid Super Bowls, maybe not even min cash. We'll get like a somewhere in the middle of the pack in the Super Bowl. Make some good money if we get there, and we'll live to fight another day. We'll go into another draft. We'll try and bink the nuts.
Yeah,
in the next one.
Yeah, and I think just to kind of round out this discussion on like the non-high scoring players, low projection players, I actually think that if we were drafting with the Sims version of Sidekick back when it was a couple years ago with the Chiefs and the 49ers, that Juwan Jennings probably would have been a pretty big piece of portfolios, because like we just took Josh Downs there, right, on a Super Bowl team. That's the type of piece where he does score points, reasonably enough. He's helping to fill out rosters, and so you're taking him on those teams where you have the Colts making the Super Bowl, and that's like your desired outcome. But what we would have done a lot less of that year is just like added Juwan Jennings onto like whatever. Like I've got 49ers covered. It's like, well, you don't have CMC, you don't have Kittle, you don't have Purdy, you don't have any of the pieces you actually need to score points in the 49ers Super Bowl, but you tack on Juwan Jennings with like, a low likelihood team to make the Super Bowl, and now you like have that covered, but you don't, because you're going to lose if you get there with that Super Bowl. So it's more about, it's a little bit more judicious, but like with those types of players, I think you will see. We just took Josh Downs. It's just more like when you're actually in the driver's seat for that particular matchup. All right, let's get out of here. We're going to have a lot more. Sign up for Legendary Upside, the newsletter, free newsletter, if you want to get more updates about what we have rolling out with playoff best ball. But as you can see, we have the Sidekick for DraftKings and Underdog. Check it out, and good luck in Week 14 and in your playoff best ball contests. It's a fun time of year. See you guys soon.